get their yes or no via email if they would like to move forward with the plan. The goal for today is all we really are looking for to bring this to the full board is just a majority or hopefully unanimous support of the one pager to bring to the full board for voting approval. So if you haven't been in a different committee with us, basically what we'll do today is I'm going to read through the document line by line. This is where we make any final kind of like wordsmithing changes or anything that needs to be done as we're reading through. And then at the end, we kind of go like thumbs up, thumbs down with the group and move forward from there. I want to say this group has given the most feedback of any of the groups so far that we've had with one pagers. And that's been, I don't think you understand how helpful that is to Abby and I in terms of giving us direction because, you know, a lot of this we're just going with what we think is right. And so it's been very helpful we've made some substantial changes, I think, that have been really helpful. So as it's all reflected in the document, except for Gary's, which we just made today, we missed those, but neither of them were substantive changes, just wording changes that we addressed. So if everyone's good or doesn't have any other thoughts, I will share my screen.
Okay.
Okay. And I will get a little bigger. So starting with the situation, Vermont faces an aging demographic and every county in Vermont has seen a decline in labor force since the mid-2000s. Additionally, looking at Vermont's labor demand and supply as of July 2022, there's roughly one unemployed person for every 3.3 job openings. Vermont must address its demographic crisis and grow its labor force. Even if we were to train and upskill everyone in our existing workforce, we would still not have enough individuals to fill jobs. Vermont needs more people to enter the workforce from out of state. Thoughts or changes on the situation? Great. The solution. To address the demographic crisis and promote efficiency, the Relocation and Recruitment Committee will focus on a twofold track of relocating and supporting new Americans, which includes refugees, asylees, and all other immigrants. These efforts will also support new workers from other states. While there are many regional services and statewide efforts occurring, Vermont needs a unified system. The Relocation and Recruitment Committee will serve as a nexus between private and public efforts to relocate workers and support partners providing services. The goal is to develop a streamlined approach that effectively translates interest in the Vermont brand into recruitment, prospecting, and permanent relocation to the state. Okay. Long-term action, the Relocation and Recruitment Committee will serve as a continuous monitoring body, which will evaluate the effectiveness of Vermont's recruitment and relocation system and provide real-time feedback to decision-making entities. As this work continues, the committee will look to specifically target in-demand industries for out-of-state recruitment based on the reports of the Career Pathways Committee. Pat?
I think I like this section. One question is, are we going to have data on any private sector efforts? I know the public, we can find that, but I didn't know, as we look to have this committee serve in that monitoring, how we're going to get that private sector data.
So the data from it would be really honestly semi-private. It's going to be self-reported through the RDCs and jobs that we place.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Other thoughts? Okay, and then milestones. By July of 2023, the committee will clearly define guiding principles that will help all new and current Vermonters in a streamlined relocation and recruitment system. Pending legislation by September of 2023, this committee will select a vendor to evaluate the infrastructure related to new American recruitment and support systems. By September of 2023, at the recommendation of the committee, the State Workforce Board will contract with an entity to perform the above work. By March of 2024, the committee will produce a regional report to the Agency of Commerce and the Governor's Office that outlines Vermont's current infrastructure for relocation and recruitment based on testimony taken from regional partners and state agencies. By December of 2024, the committee will establish recommendations for improvement to the governor's staff and relevant agencies. By May of 2025, the committee will enter into an MOU between relevant partners for coordination of services for new Americans and provide recommendations on next steps to the governor's staff per the final report of the vendor. Other thoughts?
I mean,
Jen?
this looks good. I'm sitting in a couple of these meetings, Tori and Abby, and seeing all these timelines and milestones, and I'm saying, you guys got a lot on your plate. So, I mean, how comfortable are we going to be able to deliver for all these various committees in that time frame? I mean, I love it. It just seems like it's a lot of work.
So thankfully, being in the governor's office, we're able to utilize the junior staff in the governor's office for a lot of administrative work, which is helpful. We're also going to be taking on an intern this summer. In addition to that, Abby and I have, as some of you may remember, in the initial phases, our plan was very ambitious. We've toned this back a lot. And in some of the committees, it's work we're already doing. We're just formalizing it so that whoever the executive director is from here on out is essentially required to do some of that work. So we feel pretty comfortable with the timelines, but we're going to bake into the overall summary of the plan that each year the committees and the full board will just reevaluate their milestones just to make sure that the timeline still is reflective. Because I think as we do some of this work, some things will take a lot less time, some things might take more time. But we're in a place where we feel it'll be a lot of work for us, but we feel fairly comfortable with where we're at.
Okay, thanks.
Of course. Other thoughts or feedback from folks?
Victoria, just questioning, I'm sure you've talked about it, but are there any milestones for quantifying how many people we're trying to bring in at certain times? Or is that staggered, or what?
So it's interesting because it's hard when we're looking myopically as a committee at this. With what the vendor will be doing in this situation, will essentially be developing a system where we'd be able to start tracking some of this work. Right now, it's so disjointed. We can track how many refugees are coming in, but not necessarily immigrants or new Americans, as well as we can track how many people are coming into the state through the relocated worker grants, but not necessarily like if they come in through other means. So this is just one section where we're building out the system, and we can send it to you all, the size and quality one pager that's a part of our full strategic plan. And that basically outlines kind of where that tracking would start to take place. It would be on a regional basis. I don't know if that answers your question.
Would there be a PR campaign to get buy-in from the public so they understand the purpose and the reasoning? Is that part of this?
Yeah, so the recommendations for that, which is why we kept it fairly broad, would come from the vendor that we select on the best way to advertise this. In addition, if we get our $1 million that we've asked for BDTM this year, which so far the House has given us that money, we would be using some of that to promote these efforts.
Okay.
Other thoughts or feedback?
I really apologize for being late. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm still holding too many programs as I replace staffers that
the
Great Resignation took away from me. So I just want to go through a few little nitpicky things about like just how this is framed. And I'm sorry if these have been covered by other people. They're and again, this comes a little bit from, to the question of having a PR thing, just some of our experience in terms of talking about this in this region and, bringing refugee work to this region. I think in the situation statement, I think no one in Vermont believes that the economy should be stronger just to have a stronger economy. That's just not a philosophical thing. And so I think it's a little bit more of a strong statement in this about, why having jobs be filled is important, why there's this kind of virtuous cycle of if we don't have a strong workforce, we won't have good jobs. Okay. And I think people often focus on the reverse, but the reality is good jobs go away if they can't get filled here. And so we have to say that somehow. And I'm not sure exactly how to say it. And I didn't write, my scribbles aren't coherent enough to tell me. I think the word efficiency is also kind of triggering, for people who don't like economic development. So just adopt some of the currently acceptable language around prosperity or whatever the latest stuff is. Okay. And I would say, I know that we can't say explicitly why the Vermont Department of Labor doesn't do this work, but we have to be somehow kind of say that the existing systems that we have are not adequate to this new challenge, that we have systems that were built for a time when there are many workers who needed opportunities, and that unemployment also was a periodic challenge to be overcome. But none of our systems were designed for a time when a lack of workforce or a very different workforce needed to be supported. And we have to just sort of acknowledge, because people have, and you know, Pat, I'm sure you can think of a more tactful way to say this, but it's sort of like, we have great and wonderful people who have worked hard on things around workforce. We really don't have the right organizations for the time that we are in, is what I'm trying to say. And that just speaks to, you know, one of the things, I think this intention is there, but in the milestones, that we're not just looking to evaluate the infrastructure, we're really looking to, you know, develop recommendations to build the systems that we need for a new time and for new challenges. So, and then I'm going to make my last comment, which is always going to be statewide isn't good enough. There's no such thing as a statewide system that's working in southeastern Vermont. And that, you know, whether it's, you know, an incentive program to attract college students to stay here, it doesn't touch a single functioning college in southeastern Vermont, or whether it's, you know, a one-stop shop VDOL our VDOL is constantly not working, or whether it's in-person vocational trainings to help the new Americans that we have to enter things. We don't have any in-person trainings in southeastern Vermont. So in region, the implementation of these things at a regional scale is everything. It's at the labor shed scale, and labor shed is really probably the language to use. So,
Okay.
And I'll stop.
No, that's helpful, Jen. Thank you.
I mean,
Oh, go ahead, Pat.
Sorry, just to add to Jen's point, I think you make some superb points, Jen, as usual. But I also think there are some other committees that are diving into some of the details with regard to, you know, how can we make these trainings more ubiquitous, every region. But I think your systems piece and really calling out that, you know, our workforce system is really designed for when there's a plentiful workforce. We don't have an importation mentality, an immigration of mentality of any sort, be it, you know, foreign born or domestically born. We don't have an immigration policy in Vermont, and we don't have systems set up for that. I don't know how we weave that.
I think in this situation, we could add there's, you know, as of July, there's roughly one unemployed person for every 3.3 job openings. And then unfortunately, our current system is not like, I don't know how to word this perfectly, but not equipped to handle, you know, is designed to handle high unemployment, not situations of low unemployment, something like that.
Exactly. That's it. And I think it really, it was built for a different time and a different demographic reality.
Well, and I do think some language, you know, I mean, I just happened to watch a TED Talk this morning about, you know, we can't, as a globe, we can't grow our way out of the economy. We've got to look at, you know, the donut hole and the donut economy and those types of things. And so, you know, to being able to explain must address this demographic crisis to enable our economy to continue to function and to enable us to, you know, deliver the goods and services, something like that, you know, so, because, yeah, I think growth can be a bit of a trigger, but, and I like what you said, Tori, in terms of our current needs. So times of high unemployment and not equipped. Yeah, right. Perfect.
Abby, don't kill me as I'm changing the formatting. Poor Abby has to deal with my like wild formatting every time I do these things.
That's okay.
Okay, and then the second piece was about efficiency, changing, I don't remember which section that is now.
Yeah, it's in the first, it's on the second line of the box that you're in.
Okay. Yes. So we changed that prosperity.
Yeah.
Or
widespread prosperity, or, you know, prosperity. And I think, you know, this gets to, there's not enough room in a one pager to really, you know, lay out what we're talking about. Right. But we're basically, Vermont has a choice between, you know, continuing to pursue a business model that, you know, favors second homeowners and people who can afford to live here regardless of the housing costs, regardless of the consequences. And, you know, we're really proposing a more balanced business model, you know, and that's when it comes to demographics and people and the workforce. And yeah.
Okay. Great. And then talking about, I believe in the milestones, you wanted to add something. Change this so I can see the.
I mean, I think it's already out there. I mean, it's probably, I haven't read the legislature. I mean, I haven't read all the other stuff that you've done. So I bet that this is embedded in there. I think, you know, just continuing to acknowledge that we are,
Yeah.
you know.
So I think the piece you're talking about with the regional strategies, and again, I'll have Abby send this with the next version. So in our size and quality one pager, the focus for relocation recruitment is on regional relocation. So that I think will address what we want to do is be able to help coordinate some of those efforts if they statewide, but you know, foster that like better in some communities that it might be underperforming. So I think that's addressed there.
Right.
If you're comfortable with it being there, if you want it explicitly here, we can also put it in here.
No, I just want to, you know, again, rather than me taking the time to read all the stuff you've done, just say it to you.
No, that's very, very helpful. Other thoughts or feedback from folks? Great. So if we're comfortable, as I said, and Jen, I apologize repeating myself for those. We don't have a quorum, but we want to get majority or unanimous approval from folks to bring this to the full board for consideration. So just kind of like we'll follow up via email with the other folks who aren't here, but just kind of like a thumbs up, thumbs down from folks if they're comfortable with us moving to the next stage in the process with this.
Great.
Good.
I'm good.
Yep, I'm good.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you all very much. As I said in the beginning, you all have provided a lot of feedback, which is very helpful to us. Like I can't underscore that enough because sometimes we make these and then we have no idea if we're moving in the right direction sometimes. So it's very helpful to get feedback and we appreciate that from all of you. So thank you.
So Tori, Abby, you're going to send the revised documents out, I assume.
Yes, we'll send the revised document. We'll add any of the comments from today into our spreadsheet and we'll send the size and quality workforce one. I just need to finish making the edits from yesterday's meeting on that one, but we will send that around.
Perfect.
Great. All right. Thank you all very much. Have a good rest of your day.
Very good. Thank you all.
Thanks. Bye all.